Joining us in the studio this week is Rena Calabrese. Rena is the president and CEO of the Naper Settlement. And that settlement has a big event coming up very soon. We welcome you to our program. And before we talk about the event, let's talk about place and date.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on the show today. The place is Naper Settlement in Naperville, Illinois. The date is November 5th, and the time is 6:30. Please come join us. It's an event like no other.
Okay, let's find out why it's an event like no other. What's going to happen on that Saturday night?
We are having a barn raising. We will have a wonderful farm-to-table dinner, and it will be to support the Agricultural Interpretive Center that we hope to build in the next 2 years to really tell this story of agriculture, not just in our own community, but really throughout our state and our nation. It is going to just be a jean and jacket event, so no big fancy balls.
Good.
We are going to have it catered by Big Delicious Planet, one of the best urban farms, and you will have experiences like no other, and it will start with a couple of the tractors that will be welcoming you, and you'll be eating right beside another beautifully conserved and restored tractor from our community that has a fabulous legacy to it.
Naper Settlement has been around a long time. How long, and is this your first real venture into agricultural history?
So Naper Settlement has been around now for over 40 years. We are a nationally accredited museum and the only nationally accredited outdoor museum in the state of Illinois. And so while we have, in telling the story of our community and our region, delved into agricultural life, particularly as we tell the 19th century story, we have not done anything like this. This is really the next step. To be able to interpret what agriculture has meant for us as a community, but also for us as a nation.
You mentioned a couple of tractors, but what artifacts are you going to have in this interpretive center?
So we will definitely have, we have been collecting for a good almost 100 years. And so as you might imagine, we have a tremendous amount of artifacts from the 19th century. But we also have a thresher, a 1912 thresher, that is actually going to be conserved tomorrow. It is leaving on its long journey for conservation, and it will return to us beautifully done new, and it will be home, that will be its home for many generations to come, to really learn about what our farmers have done for us over so many centuries now, I guess, over the last 2-3 centuries.
So as a kid, I worked with a threshing machine on the dairy farm in Wisconsin. Will this one do any work, or will it just be a stationary thresher?
It will be a stationary thresher because we don't have enough room for it. Will be indoors, and so there's not enough room for it to actually do what it does. However, we will have photographs and we will have footage, and most importantly, we will have the stories of those folks that actually did work the threshers and talk about what it meant for them on a variety of levels, how it built community, because as you know, they all shared them, how it built profitability into for the farm, or what they needed to do the next year to actually work better. So there's a lot of ways that the stories and the interpretations will take us. And as you may know, we welcome over 35,000 school children and have had close to 2 million visitors. So it will be seen heavily by many people that perhaps have never seen a farm equipment, let alone such a large farm equipment.
If you're a second generation off the farm and think you still know farming, you don't, because it changes so much, changes so rapidly. I know why I think this is important, because for 56 years I've been trying to let Chicago consumers who listen to WGN know that it all starts with food. Nothing else happens until we take care of food. I like the Chinese proverb that says a person who has food has many problems. A person who doesn't have food has only one problem. So what is your feeling and the feeling of the other people working with you on why this is important?
Well, I'll tell you, there is no real good way to tell the American story, that is the whole overall story of America, without touching upon agriculture and touching upon our farmers.
Yep.
As you well know, our founding fathers were themselves farmers, number one, and many times there are the stories of Benjamin Franklin, our first head of the State Department out in France, and the French would usually say to him, yeah, but you don't have these beautiful marbles this, and you don't have the history and the richness that we have. Yeah. And he would always turn to them and say, but we have something more important. We have rich, fertile land. And that was the way that America really entered the economic market and the international market on a much more even playing field. And so our farmers were our first scientists, and our farms were our first labs. And so because we were able to feed a nation, a large nation like this one, then we can, like you said, have a lot more problems. There are still nations in the 21st century that have one problem. They can't feed their people. And so that's part of the important part for us, is we were looking to see whether this was something that would fit our mission. We knew that irrespective of where you lived and what you did and whether you were or were not a farmer, how you interact with your food determines how you live, because it touches upon medicine, it touches upon your economy, it touches upon the professions, your nutrition. So many aspects of your life start with how your food is grown and how much you have to be able to go on and move into so many other fields that might be important.
I have to ask this personal question. With your passion, have you had a connection with agriculture all your life?
I have indirectly. I immigrated to the United States as a young girl, and so my family had farms. They actually had dairy farms, and they had banana farm, believe it or not. And so indeed, I do remember going there and seeing the hard work, because farming is such hard work. But there's nothing like the taste of food or milk or any of those things when it just comes straight from the farm. It's an unbelievable experience.
Before we have to say goodbye to you, Max and I are looking forward to being there to be part of it on November 5th. But one more time, place, date, and how do they get more information?
So first of all, thank you so much for being our MCs. We are thrilled to have you both with us.
Well, we are too.
Thank you. Once again, November 5th at Naper Settlement. It is in Naperville, Illinois, and of course you can go to napersettlement.org and look at our website, and you'll be able to find that information, everything that you need to know about why we're doing this, as much as also hoping to have you at the event that day.
Thank you for joining us. A visit with Rena Calabrese, who is the president and CEO of the Naper Settlement.